Hello, what's up everybody? It's Jesus the Atheist here. And aka Jesus the Agnostic, aka myself. The funny thing is my initials are JC, so funny as hell. I'm RezenatorZen. It's nostalgia time once again, because I thought might as well do these nostalgia videos as much as I can. As many as I can, as short a time as possible. I'm gonna do more nostalgia videos where I go in depth and talk about each individual show I've mentioned in other nostalgia videos. This one's just I'm gonna go through a wide swath of other shows to give you a more overview of what I'm gonna do. In past videos, I've mentioned Afraid of the Dark, All Real Monsters, Beetleborgs, um, Invader Zim, Animorphs, Goosebumps, where on Earth is Carmen San Diego? I mentioned Angry Beavers, um, and just many more other shows. In this video, I'm going to talk about shows that I don't think I saw at the time of their conception, but I saw them later on, and I still think they're fucking badass. First up is the Batman the animated series, the first one where it was Kevin Connolly did the voice of Batman, and Mark Hamill did the voice of the Joker, and they've stayed constant throughout the modern Batman shows, as far as I know, except for the Batman, which I don't consider canon. But I mean, they did reprise their roles in Batman Beyond. They played him in Batman animated series, and so forth. And Kevin Connolly reprised his role as Batman for Batman Gotham Knights. Uh, and I'm just gonna go. This might be a two-part video if I'm gonna talk about Batman animated series and other shows. But I mean, I'm pretty sure I didn't see that show when it first came out, because when it first came out, I think it was '92, and I was only 4 at that point. So I don't think I was going around watching Batman the animated series and Superman the animated series, because they both came out around the same time. But I remember watching when they were back-to-back shows where it was Batman and then Superman. Like, I remember watching them back-to-back. And I always liked the Batman animated series show, because it was so awesome. I mean, it was well animated, it was well voice acted, um, it was well portrayed. Um, I just really liked it because of the fact that it focused on Batman. Um, it went through the whole mythic lore of it. Then there's all the movies that came from it: Mask of the Phantasm, Sub-Zero, um, other movies I can't really remember that had to do with Batman. And then there was Batman Beyond, which came out in I think 2000, might have been 99, 2000. And then that came out, and I watched the shit out of that show because that stuff was badass. I mean, it was Batman in the future. He was more badass, and it wasn't the original Batman. It wasn't Kevin Connolly. It was Terry McGinnis. And I liked that show because it was a teenager who was Batman. It wasn't some doddering old man who Kevin Connolly honestly had played. But he wasn't so old in the original Batman the Animated Series. Takes place like 50 years in the future or something like that, where he's 80 and he's doddering around and he's still wearing the fur. In the first episode, they actually show him in the Batman suit, but he's so ashamed of himself that he has gone to this point where he's so old that he can't do anything. And I mean, and you find out how Terry and Bruce Wayne are related, because through some fucked up thing, people at Cadmus, um, injected Terry's father with Bruce's thing that made it into Bruce's DNA and made him into his. And then there's moral questions in that. And that's in Justice League Unlimited epilogue, which I think is the last episode of the series, and it explains all this, ties up loose ends, and gets you thinking and things like that. And it brings up the Mask of the Phantasm, who was supposed to kill Terry's parents but couldn't do it because Batman wouldn't have resorted to violence in any kind of form unless his life was threatened or some shit, and she wouldn't do it. and I respect that and things like that. And I like that show a lot. I like Superman too because that was a really good show. It had a lot of the cool villains. It had Toyman, it had Metallo, it had Bizarro, it had Lex Luthor, it had Brainiac, it had like the Rogues Gallery of villains. um, and stuff like that. And I liked all of these shows because they were well animated. And if you think about it, all the shows from the '90s on Nickelodeon, Cartoon Network, um, Fox Kids, and all those things were pretty good shows. Like Sherlock Holmes was really good. And a lot of the shows now are just really frivolous. The only ones that I really like that are cartoons on Nick anymore are Danny Phantom, just because it's a really funny show and I just find it funny. I have that kiddish sense of humor and I like watching it. And then there's Avatar, which is pretty adult show for a show on Nick. And I mean, think about it though. They go into such deep things where it's the Avatar. He runs away from his responsibilities. The world goes into war. He wakes up. The world's a mess. He doesn't know that nobody's alive anymore. He finds out that his things are people are there. Then he's confronted at the very end of the series when he has to kill someone, but he can't do it, and he finds a different way to do it, and he broods about it. And I mean, he almost dies and stuff like that. But those are the exceptions to the rule with the new shows. There's no real good substantive shows anymore like that. They're all the, I mean, there's no even real any good live action shows anymore. I mean, Beetleborgs, the original Power Rangers, those were all good. And I mean, going back to, like, there's all these good live action shows, but there's no live action shows anymore that are really worthwhile. I mean, the Power Ranger show has become so bastardized, it's not even funny. Even though I still watch it occasionally just because I fucking need something to relax or get me non-stressed and things. And there's no real, I mean, Batman Beyond should have continued. I know it's not because of a lot of the subject matter that was going on in Batman Beyond is stopped after 9/11, but I think they should bring it back now, even though I mean, they should bring it back and bring up new missions, bring up stuff like that. Continue the Batman series instead of having Batman Brave and the Bold, which is a travesty against Batman. It's like combining animation with the '60s series, and that's not my cup of tea. I don't like it. I didn't like the Batman, which was good, but it wasn't so good. And I mean, really, there's no shows like Salute Your Shorts. There's no All That anymore. I mean, they should bring back All That because that was a cool show. That's where Kenan Thompson got his start. Kel Mitchell got his start. I think Michelle Trachtenberg, Amanda Bynes got her start on that. Then she got her own show, The Amanda Show, and that now she's on What I Like About You or something like that. And I mean, a lot of that show spawned a lot of famous people's careers. So, but there are also people that just have faded into the nothingness of the ether. But I mean, married to Beth Dimberg, Michelle Trachtenberg. I mean, Michelle Trachtenberg was hot. I mean, that came out wrong, but she is hot now. And I mean, she was a cool character when she played, I think Harriet the Spy. I used to have that on tape. I mean, I used to watch that. It had Rosie O'Donnell, I think Michelle Trachtenberg, and it was a good movie. And I mean, there's no good movies like that anymore. There's no good TV shows. There's no good movies. There's no good anything that was good in the '90s, though. I think I'm sort of becoming nostalgic, and I think that's why I call it nostalgia time. But I mean, you gotta admit, some of the shows from the '90s were awesome, and they should bring them back, or bring them back in some kind of manner, and update them. And I mean, Batman Beyond will be good to see now, because it's been 8 years since 9/11. I think people have gotten over it enough to see stories where where Batman's trying to face people who are like that, and she's trying to solve problems with different ways and stuff like that. It would be cool to see stuff like that. And Invader Zim should be coming back. I mean, that was a good show. And I mean, I'm gonna go into more detail about all this other good shit that I've mentioned in these videos. But for now, I'm RezenatorZen. This has been Nostalgia Time. Hope you like it. Peace out.